Hi guys, James at Rampant Lion Reviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to do a beer that's local to me here in Skåne in southern Sweden once again. We're going to return it to Brekeriet, who are from Landskrona, maybe about 15 minutes or so to the north of me here in Lund, and this one is their La Paloma, which is one of their special series beers. So this one, as far as I know, is a 3.5% sour beer. There wasn't much else about this one on the website other than it says here it's a fruity, low alcohol beer brewed with rye, sourdough and Brettanomyces with some Cascade hops. So it should be quite an interesting one. This, I don't think there is any other way to describe this one style-wise other than it's a sour beer. So yeah, it should be an interesting one. As we know, Brekeriet do tend to produce some really interesting stuff, so definitely looking forward to this one. Thank you as well, of course, to Richard, who gave me this beer. He's been subscribed to the channel for a little bit, I think since I moved to Sweden actually, but he very kindly gave me this beer to review on the channel. So once again, thank you Richard, and I hope you enjoy the review. So anyway, as is usual with my beer reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. If you want to get straight to the tasting, of course, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews I've done from Brekeriet before. This must be review number 7 or 8 for them, and I'm always adding more. If you want to see more beer reviews, do consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel, of course, has a geography-based tagging system, so you can go into the home page and search for beer based on country, city or state, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlist of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the Swedish beers that I've reviewed for you. That's constantly being added to, and as always, please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys, and the support that you give the channel is hugely appreciated. So anyway, to tell you a little bit about Brekeriet first off then. So Brekeriet, as I've told you before, were based originally in Djurslöv, just out to the east a little bit from Malmö and Skåne in southern Sweden. So the company was founded back in 2011 by the Ek brothers. So this is Fredrik, Christian and Andre, and it's a specialist brewery in sour beers using Brettanomyces, and as far as I know, they're the only brewery in Sweden that are completely specialised in this. Tempelbrewhus and Örebrobrewhus do some things as well, but these guys were the first brewery in Sweden to do this, and they remain the only completely specialist brewery as far as I know. So the original brewery was actually based in the old brewhouse in Djurslöv, which was kind of a commune brewery for all the local farmers in the area at one point in time. But they brewed their first beers there back in 2012, and they were only doing very small batches of around 500 litres, so they had quite a modest capacity of around 38,000 litres of beer per year. But as of 2015, they now have a new brewery up in Landskrona where they can produce 20 hectolitres of beer per brew, and they now have a fermentation capacity of around 80 hectolitres, and of course that's very important when you're brewing sour beers, because you've got to let them age for a little bit longer and everything like this. But apparently they produce their Wild Bunch beers, which are their sort of core range, their more regular range up in Landskrona, and they do produce some of their Sour Patch beers still at the old brewery in Djurslöv, although this one is one of the special beers, and it was produced in Landskrona as far as I can tell. So I'm not sure if the Djurslöv brewery is actually still in operation, but it doesn't really matter, the beers are still going to be good quality anyway. But one of the other interesting points about this brewery is that in 2014 they actually caused a little bit of a stir because they withdrew from Systembolaget here in Sweden. If you don't know what that is, that's our nationalised beer stores that we have here, but they withdrew from that, citing the bureaucracy that goes into actually getting your beers in there. Of course, that's one of the downsides to Sweden a little bit, is the alcohol laws are very, very strict, but they decided to actually export all their beers, so you could go over to Copenhagen and get these things, but you couldn't get them in the local area here in Skåne. But in 2016, thankfully, they did manage to get that sorted out, and they brought some of their beers back into Systembolaget, so it is cool that we can finally get some of our local Brekeriet beers once again. So a very interesting brewery. Sour beers, of course, are on the rise. There's more and more breweries experimenting with these things these days, and of course Brekeriet are probably one of these Scandinavian pioneers, I guess you could say, of sour beer brewing. So long may it continue, and I've had some really good experiences with these guys in the past. The last beer I reviewed, Sour and Salt, was really good, and also the Swedish Ninja that they did with Pipeworks, that was a really nice one as well, and I'm sure this one that Richard's given me will be really cool. So yeah, so like I said, this guy, it's a sour beer that's been brewed with rye, sourdough, Brettanomyces, and then they've added some Cascade to it, so it should be really interesting. It says on the back here, La Paloma is part of our collection of beers known as the Specials, made in experimental batches in limited edition, and it's an organic beer. This one, you can see the European organic symbol down here. I'll just like a little quick look at the artwork. It is the kind of standard Brekeriet thing, kind of Don't know if you would class that as Swedish minimalism, and it's actually got a slightly different bottle cap on this one. I guess the normal one, of course, is black with a white bee on it, but I wonder if the specials are the ones that these white bottle caps are reserved to. But yeah, 3.5% beer this one, and it should be quite nice. So we'll get this guy out and get on with the tasting then. I guess one of the things about this beer as well, you can see a nice smoky opening there, but I guess one of the things about this beer is that since it's a 3.5% one, you could actually sell this in supermarkets in Sweden. We have a thing here called Folköl, people's beer basically, and if anything is under 3.5% alcohol, you can actually sell it in the supermarkets, which is kind of cool. But of course, I think in Finland and Norway, I think it might be 4.5% and 5%. I think they might have slightly more lax rules up there. But it is still kind of cool. You can buy some alcohol in the supermarkets here, but only if it's under 3.5%. But yeah, really nice looking beer this one. As you can see, it's poured a really hazy kind of straw golden yellow. It could be like pineapple juice or something like that. It just looks exactly like that. You could mistake this for a New England IPA just on appearance. But there's a solid finger of a frothy white head on this one. It is, yeah, perfect white, I would say, not even slightly creamy in colour. One or two big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass and a few little ones just going up towards the bottom of that head there. But overall, it looks really, really nice. So yeah, always interesting to see the diversity in colours and things that you can get from these sour beers. But let's take a closer look at the aroma then and see how we get on. Oh, that's really unusual. That's a really, really strange beer that. My camera's just decided it's going to disconnect for some reason, so I don't know why it's doing that. But yeah, I control the camera with my phone in these videos, so that's why you see me looking down here. But yeah, there's a really strange aroma from this one. You can smell some of that nice rye character in this beer. There's a good bit of, I can see what they mean, like it has almost that kind of sourdough breadiness to it. But yeah, I really just, this is one of the more unusual sour beers I've come across. I mean, you're getting all the usual things from it. You can pick up that tart, lemony, citric character with this one. But there's a little bit of a kind of grassy sort of floral hop as well, which is really interesting. The bready, yeasty notes, but the rye really is coming out quite well in this one. I don't think I've ever had a sour beer that has rye in it before, and that really is just sticking out quite nicely. I can get a little tiny bit of the kind of grapefruity notes, very light though, from the Cascade hop. But it's really, really nice. It's just a really interesting sort of it's just a really interesting aroma, this one. There's a lot of just interesting things going on with this one, but I'm just surprised at how exactly the rye is coming out in this one. It's just a really unusual aroma. I can see why Richard wanted me to try this one actually, because I don't think I've ever come across an aroma quite like that. So without further ado then, I guess we'll get stuck into this beer. So this one is the La Paloma, a sour beer brewed with rye sourdough and Cascade hops from Brekeriet in Skåne here in Skåne in southern Sweden. Once again, a big thank you to Richard for giving me this beer, and dude, I hope you enjoy the review. Skål! It's quite interesting. It's a really light and easy drinking beer, this. It's got a lot more bready character than some of the other sour beers that I've come across, right enough. It's just really interesting how that all goes together. In comparison to the aroma, the rye does take a little bit more of a back seat than you might expect it to. That nice kind of bready rye character that's in this one. It's just very, very light. I mean, it's almost like a sort of pale malt rye character, if that makes sense. It's got the same kind of consistency. You can feel that pale malt bready character just blanketing the middle of your tongue. And just a little bit of that kind of spicy rye note in there as well. But that's really quite nice. I mean, this is one of the things, I think this beer was rated like 78 overall on Rate Beer. And one of the things you always find a little bit with Brekeriet actually is that their beers, they're always really good. I mean, you try a beer from Brekeriet and it will always pretty much be a pretty damn good beer, but they don't quite get the really high ratings on Rate Beer. I mean, as I always say, you take it with a pinch of salt, But the thing that's cool about these guys is just how experimental they are. They're always willing to try new things. They brew their beers in smaller batches like this, and they change up their sort of regular beers quite a lot. So it is cool to see somebody that's trying all these different ingredients, and they really work. Their beers are always good quality, and you do get a whole diversity of things from these guys. But I tell you something, I think the Cascade hop in this works pretty well. This beer, it's really quite easy drinking and very, very light. The flavour in this isn't quite as strong as some of the other ones that I've come across from Brekeriet before. I would say maybe this one, to me, the flavour isn't as strong as the Sour and Salt was, or the Swedish Ninja, but this is a really kind of nice, light, easy drinking beer as well. If you just wanted something very, very light for like a really, really hot day, this one would be ideal. But there's a good little bit of complexity to this one, but it's not the most pungent flavour, the most kind of punchy flavour, I guess you would say, that you can get from Brekeriet. I think that's a fair way to sum up this beer. But yeah, like I was saying, there's a nice kind of pale malty character to this one almost, but you can feel the sort of rye, sourdough, bready character just mixing in with that. You can just feel that bready character with that little bit of sweetness right in the middle of your tongue, and that spicy character builds up a little bit as the flavour progresses in this beer. On the outside of the tongue, you've got a nice sort of you can just feel that, a little bit of that grassy and floral character from the Cascade. It starts off in the back of the palate, there's a teeny bit of earthiness, but as you come further forward you can feel some of that spicy floral aromaticity. And then around the very front curve of your palate, it's lighter and grassy, and just behind the front curve of the tongue there, that's where you get that little oily bubble, where some of these nice fruity aspects come out from the hop oils. But this is a nice beer. Make no mistake about that. This one is a good beer, but I would say probably I don't like this one quite as much as the Swedish Ninja or the Sour and Salt. Those are probably the two best beers I've had from Brekeriet so far. But it is a good beer. You're always going to get good beer from Brekeriet as far as I know. But you get a little tiny bit of that grapefruity character just behind the front curve of the tongue there. It's not too pungent, it's just a very light thing. It doesn't quite have that very dark character that you can get from grapefruit, of course. But the sour character in this one, the Brettanomyces, is quite interesting. It comes in, and as I always say, the sour character, it just comes in and attacks just behind the very edge of your tongue. So you get that, initially, you get that really sharp, lemony tart kind of citricy thing coming in just behind the edge of your tongue, and it works really nicely actually. Yeah, it just comes in. It's not as sharp as some of the other ones I've had, and it's not quite as lemony, but that Brettanomyces flavour just comes in, and it's interesting just how it comes in quite sharp, and then you make that transition into the sort of sourdough rye bread kind of character. This is a really interesting and very, very quirky beer. I certainly wouldn't hesitate to drink this one again, but like I said, in terms of my favourite beers from Brekeriet, I do think the Sour and Salt and the Swedish Ninja probably edge this one, but in terms of experimentation and stuff like this, that's where you have to give a thumbs up to Brekeriet, because they're always trying new things. So yeah, as I say, a big thank you to Richard for letting me try this beer. It is a really interesting one, and I can see why he wanted me to review this for you. So if you get the chance to try this one, do have a go at it, because it's really interesting. And in terms of the mouthfeel of this one, I would say this guy is probably, I'd say it's mid-bodied. It is a bit heavier than some of the sour beers I've come across before. The carbonation is quite smooth. It does have a little bit of a prickle, but I always find that with sour beers, having a little bit of a prickle to the carbonation does help you a little bit. There's a nice smoothness and slight sweetness to the malts in this beer. You've got a good bit of that kind of tart, sharp, citricy character. It comes in, then it just fades out. There's a little bit of cereally kind of dryness to the beer as well, and just a little bit of bitterness from the hops, but overall it does go together really quite well. As I say, Brekeriet, they always produce good quality stuff. This is another really good quality beer from them, so if you get the chance to try this one, I highly recommend that you do. And I do like that kind of rye sour bread character, the sourdough notes that come out of this one. It's a really interesting aspect that they could try in some of their other beers going forward. So yeah, once again, it's another really solid beer from Brekeriet. So as I always say, if you get the chance to try some of these beers, I recommend you do, and they're a very experimental sour beer brewery. So yeah, once again, thank you to Richard for giving me this beer. If you have tried this one for yourself, please let me know your own thoughts on it in the comment section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are from Brekeriet as well, because they're always producing different things. They're a brewery that's quite hard to keep up with actually, because they produce that many different beers. But do let me know what some of the best ones that these guys have produced are in your opinions. But thank you for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff, and I will catch you guys very soon. Been really cool to review another Brekeriet beer, and thank you to Richard for providing this one for me to review. Slanger just now, and I will catch you guys very soon. Cheers.